Do you love going to Broadway shows, but can't go now because Broadway's closed? Join tour guide Tim and Belasco too as they bring Broadway history to you. Grab your Broadway passport for what's in store on your virtual Broadway tour.
In 1910, while architects John Carrere and Thomas Hastings were at work putting the finishing touches on their landmark New York Public Library just off Bryant Park, they were also finishing a new theater, now called the Lunt-Fontanne. Utilizing intricate stonework similar to the lions at the front of their library, the entire facade of the theater was detailed with comedy and tragedy masks. It was originally equipped with two entrances, a skinny entrance that fronted onto Times Square, now an American Eagle, and another entrance on 46th Street with enough room for patrons to make a grand arrival via horse and carriage. The original owner, extravagant producer Charles Dillingham, even added an exterior balcony on the mezzanine level so that theatergoers could watch the arrivals on the street below. You can still see the original balcony windows, but sadly, guests are no longer able to stand above to judge the attire of those entering after them. The Lunt-Fontanne Theater was originally called the Globe when it opened in 1910, named after Shakespeare's theater in London. And how did original owner Charles Dillingham pay homage to the open-air Elizabethan theater? A retractable roof. Never before seen in an American theater, a concave ceiling rose to the roof where two panels, painted to resemble the sky above, could be opened when weather permitted to provide some cool air during the summer months. And while no evidence exists that the roof was ever opened during a performance, just the thought that it could open is satisfying enough for even the most jaded theatergoer. According to renovation reports, the interior ceiling was apparently covered over at some point, but when looking from above, you can see the tracks and gears are still on the roof with the panels tarred shut. With a crowbar and some elbow grease, perhaps someday audiences will finally get to enjoy a show with the stars twinkling overhead. Instead of the Shakespearean comedies and tragedies that the Globe Theater conjures up, Dillingham built the theater to showcase lavish musicals and revues starring distinct personalities as headliners. The first production at the theater was The Old Town, starring the song and dance duo of Dave Montgomery and Fred Stone, fresh off their hit run as the original Tin Man and Scarecrow in the 1902 stage adaptation of The Wizard of Oz. Stone was known as the first triple threat performer on Broadway, one who sings, acts, and dances equally well, and in many productions at the Globe, he would incorporate his physical stunts. After walking across a tightrope and doing lasso tricks in this opening production, he would later return in other musicals that showcased his ice skating and high wire flying abilities. Ray Bolger, who was originally cast as the Tin Man in the 1939 movie adaptation of The Wizard of Oz, idolized Fred Stone after having seen him perform on Broadway years prior, and begged to be the Scarecrow instead. MGM granted his wish, and the rest, they say, is history. The Lunt-Fontanne Theater would continue Charles Dillingham's trend of showcasing hit musicals with Rodgers and Hammerstein's final Broadway production together, The Sound of Music. For the legendary writing team's only show not in a theater on 44th Street, they teamed up again with Mary Martin, now 46 years old, only this time instead of shampoo and showers in South Pacific, the role of Maria required Martin to run 3 miles around the Lunt-Fontanne stage every show, and she had a pedometer to prove it. Audiences listen nightly to Edelweiss, the last lyric ever written by Oscar Hammerstein II, who passed away from stomach cancer during the first year of the 3.5-year run, one of the longest in the history of the theater. And as of 2020, there are plans to save the original Pennsylvania home of Hammerstein and convert it into a museum celebrating the songwriting duo's Broadway achievements that filled the walls of the Lunt-Fontanne Theater and others with the sounds of glorious music.
Hello!
Happy Saturday Night on Broadway here at Broadway Up Close as part of our Virtual Broadway Tour Series. Every week we're coming to you live with someone who has worked at the theater we're featuring that week. And this week our guest is the incomparable and incredible Stephanie Gibson from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Addams Family, and lots of other shows that we'll talk about. For those that aren't familiar with me or Broadway Up Close, my name is Tim Dolan. I'm an actor and the owner of Broadway Up Close Walking Tours in New York City. For the last 10 years, our tours have unearthed secrets, fun facts, ghost stories, history from the 41 Broadway theaters in New York City. I have an entire team of tour guides that are actors and stage managers who, when they're not on a stage, they're on a sidewalk of Times Square as your window to the world of our insane theatrical lives. Last year, we opened our gift shop in the middle of Times Square with a 6-foot-tall Broadway sign, 150 light bulbs and marquee letters, which is perfect for your Instagram. Currently not lit up because Times Square is a dumpster fire right now, but soon enough, it'll all be great. In addition to the 5 exterior tours that we offer this past fall, we also opened our first interior Broadway tour inside Broadway's oldest theater, the Hudson. For more info on that tour, our gift shop, everything about me and my life, you can head over to www.broadwayupclose.com. You should do that after the interview, not while we're talking to Stephanie. If you've joined me before, you know that I've said before, I never envisioned a world of New York City without Broadway. To me, the two are synonymous. And if you have one, you have the other. But as we've learned in the last 5 months, that is the first time it's not really the case. I thought, maybe like a month and then we'll be back. And then now 5 months later, and what's going to end up being, I think, a year, I started to miss connecting with our tour goers, seeing shows, our theater goers, seeing other actors in Times Square. And so I thought, well, we'll bring this stuff virtually to you. So we have our virtual Broadway tour, 41 Broadway theaters, 41 weeks, which is insane, but welcome to my life. We're going to start with the oldest, and we're going to work chronologically forward in time, which brings us to week 5, the Lunt-Fontanne, built in 1910. I hope all week you've enjoyed my weird fun facts and opening roof stories, and it's a crazy one. So I hope you enjoyed it. How will tonight work? For tonight's series, we'll learn all about Stephanie's theatrical journey and her time working at the Lunt-Fontanne on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Addams Family. If you have any questions for her or me along the way, drop it in the comments. And for those that are joining us live, hi, you should comment with where you're watching us from so I can say hi. And so, without further ado, join me in welcoming Broadway's Stephanie Gibson. Hi.
Hi. Saturday Night on Broadway. Looks very different.
Never looked better, right?
It's really great.
Slightly different than yours. Really great. Where are you? Slightly. Where are you quarantining in life? Where are you? Not in New York City.
No, I am on this beautiful porch here in South Carolina. I am in Folly Beach, South Carolina at my in-laws' house here. Yeah, we came out here about mid-March once everything started happening. And we were really lucky that we got to escape here, and we've been here ever since. LOL, we got here thinking we were going to be here for 2 weeks.
Correct. You're like, New York, I'll be right back.
Just quite literally, I live in South Carolina now, apparently. Who knew? But,
is it nice? Have you been there before?
I visited here for a week at a time, for like a little vacay.
Right.
I never knew that I would be like pulling up here on this here porch and, watching my cat catch lizards and
hashtag a different Saturday Night on Broadway experience.
Hashtag it's like a lot more calm, and It's just me and Trey McDougal the cat. That's it.
Hey, as you do. I love that.
It looks different.
Slightly, just slightly. Okay, will you tell us, for those that don't know you, walk us through your life early years? So like where you grew up, where you went to school, maybe first shows you saw that inspired you to be in theater, and then fast forward to like first Broadway show, big shows, and then we'll go from there.
So many things.
So many things.
Yeah, I love it. I grew up in Houston, Texas.
Great.
Was always dancing in my front yard and selling dance lessons for $0.25 to the neighbors. All the hits.
As you do.
Like you do. Was addicted to the theater and singing and dancing and all the things my whole life. So it was no surprise that I left Texas and ended up going to CCM, Cincinnati Conservatory of Music.
Yes.
So yeah, I went there for the whole musical theater boot camp extraordinaire. And
was it at that time in life, and now it's a very hard school to get into. I presumably back then it was also really hard to get into.
Totally. Yeah. I went to this camp in the summers growing up called the Broadway Theater Project at the time. Now it's called the Performing Arts Project. And working with Anne Ranking and Gwen Verdon, like all these like you bonkers, right? Yeah.
What?
Ben Vereen and just insanity. And Dave Clemens, who is a casting director. Yeah, wonderful guy. He at the time was sort of my like pushed for me and sort of found me in that camp and helped me sort of find my way. Because at the time I was like, I'm going to go to UT and I'm going to, you know, be in a, I don't know, whatever the South people do, be a cheerleader or whatever. And he was like, I think this is what where we're heading. And I'm so glad
that way. Yes.
That's let's, you know, and I'm so glad. So he sort of helped steer me that way. And I auditioned and I couldn't believe I got in and went, you know, there you go.
Crazy.
Yeah. Crazy.
Okay. So then you're in Ohio for 4 years.
So then you're in Ohio for 4 years. That place is different.
Yes.
That's a different kind of place. But you hardly have time to even notice where you are because you're in the thick of it, you know, full on boot camp, like not the normal college scenario at all. But amazing, truly amazing. Worked so hard. And then, we moved to New York and we did a showcase when we graduated for whoever in the land to come and check us out. Sure. And that's kind of launched us into our time in New York.
Crazy. And for those that are watching, we've talked about showcases, or you've heard mention of showcases in the past, but I don't know that we've ever talked about like what that is, which is essentially the culmination of your 4 years of college, where this is like what feels like this pressure of like, this is every great agent and casting directors coming to watch you in this 1 hour little like medley of songs and things. And this is your first chance to like launch into the next chapter of your life, right?
Absolutely. And just terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Correct.
And everybody has
no
their
pressure.
No pressure at all. Everyone's in their like jewel tone dresses and like trying to smile. And I just a fun fact for everybody in the family watching. Sure. At my showcase, I had on this like lime green, very subtle dress, and I was dancing, and the dress just popped right open. Right open, and I caught it, and then I continued to dance and clap along, but like with the dress like half hanging off, and like had people trying to help me like while we were still like singing and dancing. It was just so epic. I think it's how I got my agent, because they were watching me.
They were like, look at this mess of a...
Look at Lucille Ball, like tripping and like begging people for help and like still trying to kick and dance and like flop. It was just, So again, you just can't ever control how it's going to go, you know?
That's insane. Okay. But it goes well. You get an agent out of it.
It goes well.
Well enough.
Surprisingly. Yes. Yeah. They liked it. They thought it was funny. So it worked.
Crazy. Okay, so then from there, what's your first show that you book out of New York City?
The first show was Happy Days the musical at Paper Mill Playhouse.
You're kidding.
Yes. I was so excited. It was so fun to be a part of, and we just laughed so hard. That show was just a bunch of ding dong brains, and we were just laughing hysterically. And a Paper Mill show it was just so exciting.
Oh my gosh, that's the dream.
It's an amazing theater. Yeah, so that was my first, the first one that happened, and then Chorus Line happened right after that.
And Chorus Line
was the tour.
The tour of the Broadway revival.
Yes.
Crazy. And who'd you play?
I was Judy Turner.
Duh, of course. Duh. And so how long with the dress? And they were like, just give it to her. Just let her do it.
Send her on her way.
Correct. So then how long did you do that for?
Well, that was a 6-month contract, and was incredible, touring the country. It was the first leg of this tour that just launched. I mean, it was bonkers. It was so exciting. And we went to some amazing cities, and I met my best friends doing it. It was the best time ever. And then right after that is when Spam-A-Lot happened. It was right when I got there, I was a really lucky time. It's not always that way.
No.
You know, there are other years where nothing's really going on, but that one was a nice kind of...
And did you feel, as an actor, I always feel like you're like, was it someone saw you in a thing and then that happened to a thing? Or was it just like you just went in and these shows were right and it just all lined up?
I think I think it's always a thing that leads to a thing. It has to be, you know what I mean? You have to have people rooting for you. You have to have connections with the people. You get in there enough that they start noticing and thinking ahead and putting puzzle pieces together. That's always the way.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I think in Spam-A-Lot I had auditioned for a couple times before I even went out with Chorus Line. And so that one was kind of just sitting in a vault somewhere, and then I got a phone call while I was out on the road asking me if I would like to join, and I was like, "Now what?"
This is like Broadway original production at the Shubert.
It was yes.
Gosh, crazy.
Yes. Yeah, it was really magical, and I of course died and exploded and cried and all the feelings, and then I think the next day I opened my laptop and looked at Broadway.com just to see what was on there, and the title page said "Spam-A-Lot will close."
No.
And I was like,
great.
Oh no! Do I still go? Can I be in it, or what's going to happen? I mean, I was just devastated, and they let me.
You hadn't even started. Oh gosh.
I hadn't even started. No, but they let me be in it. That was nice.
Oh, good. Okay, good. So then how long did you do that for? Like 40 minutes, and they were like, "No, it's time to go. Load out."
22 minutes.
Okay,
yeah, I learned it really fast, and I was understudying Lady of the Lake, and they even got me all ready for that and put me in the outfits and just made sure I was ready and I knew what was going on. And yeah, I think I was in the show for probably like, I don't know, like 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks.
Oh my gosh. And do you remember, amid all of that, do you remember the first time walking, I mean, of all the stages, especially you had just done Chorus Line Tour, and that's where a Chorus Line starts in 75. Was there like a sense of any of that on your first night or your first time there?
I mean, the first time there during rehearsals, 100%, taking it in and feeling like I'm not worthy. How? Yeah. All the feelings, overwhelmed and all of that. And then cut to your Broadway debut. That is quite literally like you're walking around with somebody blindfolded you and then like stuffed cotton in your ears and you can't see a thing or hear a thing. And you're just like
just looking. Oh my God.
I don't even know what happened. And I think I hit the right spots and I was in the right places, but like one may never know. It was just such a surreal, I will always remember that feeling. It's just like you cannot see anything.
Yeah, you're just feeling like, what is it like? You're like, I don't know. Black, lots of black, black. I don't know. I don't remember anything. That's crazy. Okay, so then from there, what happens in your life?
From there, let's see. Addams Family was next.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe that was the next show, and that was you went in midstream again. You replaced.
I did. Yeah, I came in. So the show ran 2 years. I came in right at the end of the first year. So it was really cool because I got to see the original people, like Nathan and BB and all of them were still there for like another week. But then it was about to make a big turnover. So I kind of felt like I was turning over with all the new people as well, which felt cool. But I also got to see the legends and all the things, it was. And
then you covered Morticia and you went on for it, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And at the time it was who? Brooke Shields?
It was Brooke Shields and it was Roger Reese.
Oh my gosh.
Rest his beautiful soul. I really cannot believe the luck that I got to be a part of that with him. That was like unlike anything.
Crazy.
Truly,
and so what was it
amazing.
When you went on for Brooke Shields? Was because people know who Brooke Shields is? Was it like tonight the role of Morticia will not be played by Brooke Shields, where people like, oh
yeah, you can hear that, you can hear it.
Yeah, great.
you can hear it. Yeah. And I definitely expected like the fruits and the things and and then I thought about it and I wonder maybe if Addams Family was such its own entity that maybe people didn't really mind because they were just so excited to see like the family that they knew. You know what I mean? Like Addams Family is the celebrity sort of.
Yeah.
Especially for tourists and.
Yeah, and then you come out looking exactly like Morticia Addams, and then you crush it. So it's like any thought of that is fleeting, probably.
Oh gosh, that's very nice. But I was very scared of that for sure. I mean, it's like starts with you standing there like as the lady when it opens. I mean, again, it's another full blackout moment. Like just.
Oh God! And it's like I remember the dress was, of course, everything stuffed up to your neck here, but then also if I remember, it was like BB Newirth could like, her legs could, it was so constricting, I feel like.
Totally constricting. And then it had a little secret like thing that you could pop off. And then she like went to town and did like a big tango dance in the second act, but it was a surprise. So yeah, the whole show, she's like a little, stuck in this thing. I mean, it's hilarious. And it was just so fun. I was thinking today when you were talking about, obviously the point of this is the theaters. And I remember vividly before going into Addams Family, being up in the balcony and watching the shows, because you get to watch the shows for like about a week or so while you're rehearsing before you go in. And there were nights where it wasn't filled up there, and I would just dance along with them up in that balcony. And I have just really cool memories of that, of just kind of, again, how did I end up here? To be,
yeah, it is. And especially with that, I mean, it's been there 110 years, the Lunt-Fontanne, and you just, the stories that we always tell, it's like the building has been there and the shows just kind of rotate through, and every show opens and it moves its entire life and all of the actor lives in. And then the moment it closes, if it wasn't preserved, if it flops, if it wasn't preserved on a cast album or, in a pro shot like Hamilton or something, it's like the show moves out and then we're back to like the same proscenium that's been there since 1910. But you're standing literally in the exact footsteps of these people and these shows that have come before you. It's pretty
unbelievable.
It's unbelievable is a great word for it. I love that.
Yeah. Thinking about it now, I'm just dying. Like it was so fun to relive all this and think about it and prep for this. Like I was like, gosh, that is just amazing. Yeah, the history and to be a part of that.
Yeah, because you've done 4 Broadway shows, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I mean,
get out of here.
Well, no, it is. I mean, it's like you're a part of it all, which is like, I think all anyone wants when your like dress is popping off in the middle of your showcase. You're like, I just want to be a part of it all. And then
may I please be a part of it?
Yeah. Your zipper's like, you shall. Great. Okay. So then Addams Family, you do that till it closes a year?
Yes. I did that until it closed for a year. Yes.
Okay. And then let's fast forward to Cinderella, which tell me everything. How did you get involved?
Man, that one was like a really true gift. I was a part of the workshop, which was them developing the show in the city and basically putting on like a full production. I mean, we had like some wood panels for sets, but other than that, we were giving you like a full production, and it was so exciting. And we did it in New York sort of to kind of audition the piece for people and to see if they wanted it. And and then it went, and I got to go along with it. And man, that was really, really amazing. It was my first time being part of a show from the ground up.
Yeah.
Originating like little bit parts within the show. Like there was a line about vanilla cake.
Vanilla cake.
And
yes, that's right.
And just like, who knew that it's just really neat to think about little moments that are thrown in and then become something or something memorable to people. And just, to be a part of that thing from the ground up. And then the following year I shifted into playing the stepsister, Gabrielle, and that was a whole nother experience. So I feel like I got to really live like a full fairy tale book of that fairy tale,
And it was such an epic, big, I mean, really all of these shows that you've been in across the board have been big, epic, things with big sets and big casts and things. So that's crazy. So on the heels of that, Mary has a question, and she says, hi, Mary. She says, hi, guys. Question for Steph. How do rehearsals look like when you join a show midway? And then how long do you have? So as opposed to Cinderella, talk to us about, like, let's just use Spamalot and Addams Family. Were those experiences of putting you into the show similar for those two?
Yes, very similar for those two. And so different from being a part of it from the ground up. So different. You're by yourself. In a dance studio with a dance captain. And she teaches you all the choreography, but she says things like, then John's going to run by. But mind you, you haven't met anyone yet. So they're like, then John's going to run, and then the tree goes. And then you see the gold, and then look for that, and then you'll run to 6. And so there's a lot of like elements that you're like, now what? It becomes very much like by the books and technical and like homework. You write down like where you fit within this puzzle. Yeah. And you just try your hardest until they put you in with the cast. The day of the show, you have what's called your put-in, and that's the first time that you meet the cast and you do all of your numbers with everyone and weaving your way through like where they taught you to be. But it's fascinating because you're in a dance studio with duct tape on the floor and no humans for about 2 weeks maybe, and that's no more than about 2 weeks, and then they throw you right in there.
And there's many people that like mid 2 weeks, like a week and a half in, they're like, "Oh, Julie got sick. We do need you to go in tonight." And you're like, "Well, no. I'm not supposed to start till next Tuesday." And they're like, "I know, but you'll be fine, right?" You'll
be great.
That put in, we'll just kind of run it. And you're like, "Oh, great. All right. This is going to all end really well."
And you're like, what's everybody's name? You haven't met anybody yet.
Who's Chris that's going to run by the tree? Chris, can I get a... Yeah, it is. I wish people really, like when you're there for someone's first, like if you have a friend who's like, I'm going into, whatever show, and you're like, all right, I'm going to come see it. They're like, don't come to my first one. Like, give me like a couple days to like not black out and like figure out my life. But it is that like moment. I wish people really could understand how foreign the worlds of rehearsing while the show is already running, how those worlds mix is insane.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And then at night, right, like I said, you watch the show. So I'd be in the theater, like trying to see Chris and the tree and the thing, but like from the audience, and you're like trying to see what everybody's up to and what they're doing, but yet you still haven't been on the stage yet. You're just like... trying to imagine it and
let alone the backstage choreography of like, well, you do your quick change here, but don't jump here because Julie has to run there. So do your quick change. And you're like, Julie,
get out of here.
Yeah, Julie, come on. Yeah.
You're right. That's a completely different set.
They're like, you'll shadow him. It'll be, and you're like, great. In the dark, it's crazy. It is really crazy. Yeah.
That's a whole other like hour-long conversation about like choreography that goes on behind the scenes. Like it's just like such a crazy thing that people.
And put-ins, Mary, the final thing about put-ins is you have to imagine then the cast has been doing the show for a year. They're doing 8 shows a week, and then they come in on a Thursday afternoon to run the show for no audience. So Steph, woman 4, can like go by the tree with Chris, and you're like, they're so excited to be there, and you usually buy them donuts, and you're like,
you bring them, yes,
please, like, I'm so sorry you have to do this on my behalf, but like I also want to do it once before I'm in front of 1,600 people at the Lunt-Fontanne.
Yes, you bring them Magnolia cupcakes or something equally as substantial.
Crazy. So here, Caitlin says, on the heels of that, hi, Steph. Have you ever gone back to the Lunt and seen a show after you performed on the stage? Maybe Finding Neverland. I think she likes Finding Neverland. I don't know.
She does like Finding Neverland. And I never saw Finding Neverland. I auditioned for it a bunch. I never saw the show. I can't believe it. I heard it was amazing, that show.
Yeah, it was very good.
Certainly I've been back there to see something. I mean, Tina? Charlie went in.
I know. You were like, wow. I was
Tina, and Tina? I haven't seen Tina.
Maybe you haven't been back.
So
since
let's
Charlie.
Say no. Yeah. Since Charlie,
Donna
I definitely
Summer.
haven't.
Did you see Donna?
No.
Summer, whatever we called it.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so no. The answer is no. Sorry, Caitlin. No.
I'm the worst. No.
Okay, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory comes along. Also, your original cast for that.
Yeah.
Okay. And how does that all come about? What was the process for it? How long did it gestate before it got to Broadway?
Yeah, there had been some workshops of that one for a while, and I played Cherry Sunday in that show. And there was we were Jerry and Cherry, the two like ding dong reporter people. And we were added to the show sort of as a last minute addition. So everybody was pretty much cast and we got thrown in. So we didn't start until rehearsals for Broadway. We showed up like, hey, everybody. And we created it from there. And Jerry and Cherry changed so much during that month. I couldn't believe it. It was really amazing how it shifted from vocals, a lot, like every time the kid would find a golden ticket, I would like come out and report that the ticket had been found and do like a ditty and sing a song and do a little thing. And then it changed to just me running out and like screaming at the audience and saying where they were and I'm in Russia and like saying crazy things. It just shifted so many times. It was quite fun because it would shift even in front of audiences. Nightly, we were trying different things to see what would fit the piece the best comedically. So that one was really fun because I was on my toes and like I was getting different dialogue and I was just playing with the audience, and Yeah, it was a they're all so different. Each experience.
Yeah,
is
it
so
really
different.
is. And do you feel like what you as Stephanie Gibson brought to that influenced, as I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you think that influenced the choices that were made, plus negative or positive?
I do. You know, I think they knew that this lady was, because they did it in London. You know, she was like popping out of baby pools and like doing bonkers things. And so when I saw some of that footage, I was like, that I want to be her. Like, I mean, she was just so free and silly. And so I just every day would try to bring whatever I could to this, because I think we all didn't really know what it was supposed to be yet. Right. So I just kept throwing things at the wall and just seeing what worked. And then, you know, during tech, they have me like marching out to say like that the kid found a ticket, you know, Jerry, I'm in Russia, or Jerry, I'm in wherever. And I would march out, and I don't know what happened. It must have been like tech at midnight one night. I just decided to give her this ridiculous walk. And I just like added this weird walk, and then it stuck. And what's funny is it was never really lit, because they didn't know that I was doing it. Like, it was just like me experimenting. And then it stayed like that through the entire run. And I had people coming being like, now, when you march around in the dark here, this is our favorite, because you can still see it. Like, it's like almost
your
funnier.
Silhouette, right?
It's the silhouette is almost even
like,
funnier.
happening?
But like, so the answer is yes. I mean, it was just ridiculous, you know, ding dong behavior that I felt really lucky to get to put a stamp on, you know?
Yeah.
It's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah,
so.
you're like, we're only doing so much American realism
I think,
here.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kelly Luce has a Charlie question. Hi, Kelly. She says, I love Charlie, so fun and crazy. Saw it 5 times. I love that. What was your favorite part? Other than the silhouette walk?
Well, as you can tell, I mean, I showed you 10 times. I really liked it. I think the end of Act 1 was really fun, because it's when all of the kids arrived at the factory to enter. And that was my big scene with each kid, to interview them and ask them how excited they were for arriving at the factory.
Sure.
And it was set to music, and it was just ridiculous. And it was my time to be with each character in the show. Like, this was our one scene where we were all on stage together, and all the silly jokes were flying, and I got to see each kid. And then it launched into this amazing dance number that I was a part of too. And Christian came out, and we met him for the first time at the end of Act 1. It was sort of like this epic marriage of, you know, the performance aspect of it, but also personally, it was super fun to get to, you know, connect with everybody during that part. I think that's my favorite.
For sure. And then talk about working with Christian Borle, because he wins these Tony Awards for like these crazy choices and characters. And I mean, utter brilliance. Was a lot of that already there? Did he bring a lot of his own craziness? I imagine he did.
Yeah, I mean, he's very experimental too, which was so cool to watch. You know, just trying stuff every day, coming in and working on something different, or working on a moment or a bit. I mean, that's the stuff that's so fun, right? Like, as a comedian, and I relate to that, like, that's just like my favorite stuff, is like getting in the corner and like working on a bit, like how you're gonna, you know, like, and that was him too, like watching him figure out how certain things were gonna work, and how to make things land, and even during previews, shifting dramatically into different choices. And yeah, for sure, it was a super free environment, which is awesome.
Kelly, who saw Charlie 5 times, what was your favorite part, or did you ever notice Stephanie's silhouette walk? Tell me in the comments. I'm very intrigued to know if after your 5th viewing, you start to see all the things you shouldn't really be paying attention to.
Maybe after 5 times, let's hope that she did after 5. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a question from Instagram that someone wrote in yesterday. Mia Wells says, what is your favorite backstage memory from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Oh, there's so many, man. I mean, I loved my dressing room of girls, and we would start the show together every day, and we would always sing together and start the show, which was super fun. But I think it has to be, if anybody knows Kathy Fitzgerald, comedy legend.
For those who don't know her, she was like she's done everything. I mean, literally everything. But like the producers in 2001, she was in the original cast, and she played like all of the female character track roles with, like, she played like the lesbian lighting designer and the chorus girl where he's like, you, not you. I mean, just genius.
She's just, again,
comedy.
It was like a group of genius ding-dongs in there too that I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm with y'all. But yeah, she and I just had like, I would run on and say a thing and then run off, and then I would have 5 minutes and I would sit in this one little nook, and then I would run back on and Kathy Fitzgerald would see me in that first 5 every time. She'd be sitting there too. And just having that moment of connection with her every day for 5 minutes, like that's the stuff that you start to kind of live for. It's part of your track, and that's the backstage stuff I'm talking about. Some days we'd be making up songs and singing stupid stuff, and other days we'd be talking about real life, and then you jump back into the show. If you've done it 8 times a week for a while, it starts to just feel like that, where you can kind of jump on and be in your thing, and then jump off and have a real conversation with your friend about whatever. It's kind of crazy.
So that's the perfect. So Mary, then let's segue into Mary's other question, which is perfect. When you start the run, do you feel comfortable trying new things, or eventually, the latter part, eventually, do you have to stick to what you did and you have done for, the first month? Then do you have to do that every night, or are you allowed freedom in a big show like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much stick to it once you get where you're going, and once sort of what works, and it sort of becomes this kind of machine. Yeah. But when you were asking this, I went back to Cinderella for a minute, because with that, there's so much more scene work involved, playing Gabrielle, and not set to music, and you're experiencing life on stage with these characters every night. And there, I did feel like certain shows were quite different, and depending on a number of different factors, which was really cool. And that we were allowed to kind of experience it in that way. And also depending on who you have, I had a lot of different Cinderellas. I had Carly Rae Jepsen, I had Kiki Palmer, I had Fran Drescher as my mom. You have all these people coming in and out. So it's going to shift your dynamic and the whole vibe.
And I think what's the most fascinating is you kind of do the same thing 8 times a week with your nuances of how it feels different. And I always thought, no one else notices except me, because I'm the one who's experiencing this and feels different. But the general shape of it is the same. But then you'll get off stage and your stage manager will say like, hey, that was like I like that little thing you did tonight. And you're like, what? And they're like, yeah, it was like not what you've done. I like that. And you're like, oh, people are listening. The people who are in the building with you every day, 8 shows a week, they also are noticing the similarities and differences.
Yes. And I think they appreciate that, right? Yes. Because otherwise we're like banging our head against the wall. Yeah.
Correct. Just robots with skin pulled over them that are like just animatronic bears. Is what that is.
It's just way more fun to be a human, I think.
Correct. We've had our moments. Kelly says, I'm called Kelly out. She said, yes, she did. You could see you on the move every time. Loved Mrs. Green. Cracked me up.
Mrs. Green's very funny too. Kyle Taylor Parker, KTP. He played Mrs. Green
with the shopping cart or something.
With the vegetables.
The vegetables, yes. The things
Another like hilarious featured role. Like we both like had these funny just like features that would come in and out and just be ding dong brains. And he was brilliant.
I'm obsessed with that. Okay, so then let's fast forward to like real life. Broadway shuts down. Like life is over for a long time. What are your thoughts about like? Do you have a wave of roller coaster of emotions? Are you like, got to keep my training up, so I'm taking Zoom dance classes? Are you, I think I know the answer, but for our listeners, where are you at all of that?
Oh man, I don't know where I guess I could do Zoom dance out here on the porch.
You have more room than I got.
I haven't done that yet. Honestly, it's such a roller coaster, right? I think we all feel the same way. There are some days where it is quite hard to feel the purpose, as artists, this is our livelihood, and being with other humans and creating stuff and laughing with humans and making things. It's just like what we're born to do. Yeah. So it's obviously going to feel quite lonely. There are days that me and my cat are lonely. I have my husbid here and family.
Yeah, I was like, wait. Not like, I was like, I think there's a husband too. He's there. I know this conversation after. He's like, I'm sorry, did you?
He's like, no, just you and your cat. That's
correct.
Cool.
Thank you for that.
No, I mean, and he feels it too. It's just the need to create is so rich in us that there are days that are definitely hard, and other days I find a way to, I've written a pilot that I'm hopeful someday will be somewhere.
Yeah.
A comedy. It was fun to write, and I'm still kind of tweaking that and helping other friends with like some of their works that they're creating during this time and doing readings with people, like stuff like that. Coaching. I've been doing some coaching.
Good for you.
Stuff like that helps me feel creative. And then on a totally different note, I've been protesting in Charleston for Black Lives Matter and for that whole movement, which is so important. And I'm so happy to be a small morsel of that right now.
And
every day is different.
Yeah, what a special thing to not be in New York City where everything is that, and it feels that everyone, for the most part, shares a similar brain because of the melting pot of New York City, where Charleston, I imagine, is a different on many levels. So it's different and nice to have you down there kind of bringing a little bit of New York to the South.
100%. Yeah. We found a Black Lives Matter Instagram for Charleston, and we just started showing up where they were, and it was a great group. And so it was fulfilling for us to be able to go and be a part of that,
Yeah, I love that. Our next week, so I edit these, so I'm a couple weeks ahead in edits, but launching next week is our next theater that opened 1 year after the Lunt-Fontanne. And as I was taking B-roll of the theater, out of nowhere, 1,000 people, like I hear it in the distance, a little bit of like, do you hear the people? And it's,
yes.
And here they come, and I look, and suddenly there's 1,000 people on top of me yelling Black Lives Matter. And it was one of the most like punch to the chest, kind of instant emotion. It was really beautiful. It was really, it sucks that, this is a thing that has to happen in the world that we live in, but it was really beautiful to see it kind of in this landscape of Times Square, which is usually not that,
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Crazy. You've been awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy to connect with you and to connect with all the viewers. And yes, this is so great. I'm so happy to be here.
You're awesome. Before you go, how should people follow you? Are you Instagram, TikTok, Facebook? What are you?
TikTok. I haven't embarked on the old TikTok.
I've only had one guest so far that's like, yeah, I'm really into TikTok. I'm like, I don't.
Find me on TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Instagram and Facebook, but Instagram is Steph Gibb 1.
Okay.
There's some comedy music videos and things up there that, might make people feel joy. I don't know. Just trying to make things. And Facebook, Stephanie Gibson. So
I love that. Incredible. Thank you for spending your Saturday night with us. Thank you for just
pleasure.
being here. You're wonderful. Good luck. And I hope to see you like in person in an actual room soon.
Oh my gosh, me too, friend.
Happy Saturday.
You too, bye.
Bye. As you can see, she's wonderful. She's talented. She's funny. She's, you could see why she books so many different things. I think most of our auditions aren't just Zoom interviews, but she can sing, she can dance, she's funny. She, as you can see, she's a wonderful human. So I'm glad you could spend Saturday night with her and me. As always, here's a little plug about Life Broadway Up Close. If you're looking for custom merchandise while our gift shop is closed, you can do that on our website at broadwayupclose.com/souvenirs1. We have all kinds of new souvenirs that we're launching next week for a little bit of a Christmas in July situation. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And then if you want to know more just about us in general, you can follow us on Instagram at Broadway Up Close. And of course, you're here on Facebook, so you probably already follow us there. But if not, give us a little like. We're here for the next however many weeks, 37, 36 weeks, I think is what we have left. So you'll be seeing a lot more of this little mug over the course of the next 41 weeks. Thank you for choosing you're taking the time to spend your Saturday night with me here on Broadway. And officially, as I always say, we are now officially one day closer to Broadway. Happy Saturday night on Broadway. I love you all, and I'll see you again soon. Good night.